Now we're dealing with the subject matter today in a specific order. We're dealing with targeting, followed by feints and fakes. One, feints and fakes is actually two classes, and it's that way for a reason, mostly because I'm having to modify this material. For those of you who have a personality type that is, you don't want to control other people, you just want to execute your game as perfectly as possible. Targeting should be your thing. If you don't want to have, if the other person's interaction is simply a side benefit to your fighting, targeting needs to be it for you. You have to develop really perfect targeting. Your competition against yourself is going to be, can I get the 1¼ inch sword in the 1 5/8 space? Okay, make sense? Now, for those of you who are much more want to manipulate your opponent from a distance for a period of an hour until they are standing on their head with one leg up, and targeting is important for you too, because if you don't have good targeting, you won't be able to pick exactly where you want to hit this poor schmuck that is the object of your manipulations. Just review of personality types, that's me. I want to manipulate you until I can hit you where I want to hit you.
How many elbows have you in this?
And then if you're a person that really, the other person is, there and kind of in your way, and, you just want to go out and get in their personal space and violate them, targeting is important for you because then you can get on with it. Okay? So, trying to put things in context to personality types a little bit. So if you're one of those people who, your idea of moving someone is this, and you're one of the people that wants to get in somebody's way. If your idea of moving somebody is this, which is more fun for me, then targeting is important because you'll hit us with the first time. And if you're one of those people where the other person, their participation in the activity isn't necessary, and it's just, they will move because your targeting is so good. So somebody throw on a hat and grab their shield and a sword. Anybody? Okay. If I can get everybody standing over there so that you all have the same view of our hapless opponent.
Yay, hapless opponent.
Okay. Target areas. If you're fighting someone, there they are in their guard, whatever it happens to be, however they arrange themselves towards you, they're going to be targets that make themselves available. One part of their body will be closer than anything else. That's obviously going to be your first target. The head, you hit them in the head, they fall down, you get to keep playing, they have to stop playing. It's a good thing. That's always a good target. We went over the basic target areas that I want you to think about. 1 inch above the knee, body, arm. Remember, the arm doesn't start till the elbow. We'll get into that in just a second here. Side of the head over the ear, straight down, and then down matching the other side. Across the eyes, chest, belly, thrusts, the nose, the face. What could be more perfect? The upper chest. Okay. Nice sticky spot for thrusts. The belly, or the low belly, because it's soft and squishy and people don't like it, and they make that wonderful and rewarding sound when you thrust them there. And the top of the quad. Okay. Those are basic thrusting targets and basic attack targets. So now we're going to start doing practical application. Okay. So here is our hapless opponent.
Yay!
Okay. Face the enemy. Go on guard. Okay. Targeting. What do we see instantly? Okay. talked about the face. Talked about the side of the head. Now you see these nice skitters here? Tape marks? You don't get tape marks when you hit on edge. You get tape marks when it slides. Okay? The leg. It's the closest thing to me. Not real available, front edge out here. The back edge. Now let's make this a little easier to see. Okay? We have the magic white tape. Magic white tape is as wide as your target area. So here's 1 inch above the knee. Okay? Everybody see that? And you can't see it. It's still there. Body. Arm. Now, right over the ear, right in line with the eyes. Straight down the top. If you ever look at the top of somebody's helmet, it's very rare that on the very top that they have a lot of tape marks. So if you hit them right on the top, they're not real likely to get a skitter. Okay. And then, by nose. Tell your husband I was playing with your shit. Okay. Now the reason we've chosen these target areas is because they're either going to be the most available for us to hit. Now, the 1 inch above the knee is always going to be the most available leg shot. Okay? Or because it has killing properties with a good land. Let me explain. Go on guard. Okay. So here, if I hit her in the face with a thrust, he sees the weapon, forces the blink. That's a good thing. I hit her high on the head with a thrust. A, it's not good, but B, it just moves her head. Okay? I hit her in the helmet. I hit her low on the offside. Moves the helmet. Some of the force is transmitted to this gorget. Hit her over the ear. Don't have to hit her anywhere near as hard. She sees the blade, and it rings over the ear. This is a good thing. If I hit her on the top of the head, again, she sees the weapon. This is really important when you're out fighting people, because who determines, pop quiz, for poor Vicky who's here, who determines that this is a good or bad blow?
Your opponent.
She does. And she's going to make that decision in a split instant. And she's going to take everything into account. Force of the blow, sound of the blow, look of the blow, look of me. Who am I? Is that a good blow? There you go. The reality, I can get people to take a shot that you can't get to take. Why? Because that wasn't a good shot. I mean, it clearly skittered off. We all saw it. Her initial reaction, though, was good. Make sense? Okay. So targeting. You're looking at this opponent. Okay. Nico, what do you see? What are the prime targets here?
Onside head.
Okay.
I think you could get the leg, lead leg, especially with a thumb lead, and her offside shoulder.
Okay. Yep. What do you think?
Shield side head, inside of her shield side leg, sword side hip, and sword elbow.
Okay. What do you think? Belly. What kind of thrust? There you go. Supinated to right hand. Switch back to right hand. Lancelin, anything else?
No, looks like about it. Unless they take a big step around to one side or the other.
Good thinking. Targeting. Being able to hit with this weapon in as small a space as possible. That's why the targets. Because everything here is available depending on what I do. Literally everything. Okay? That leg. Back edge on side. Available. The body on this side. Available. The arm on this side. Available. This side of the head, available to a lot of shots. Top of the head. This side of the head. Arm. Leg. Now the hard ones to hit are actually the best ones for you. Why? Look at the helmet. Where does she get hit?
The sides.
Right, but there's a lot of skitter. Odds are she's jerking out of them, and they're not going to be good. Look at the armor wear pattern on your opponent. She got fairly new stuff. Not a lot of damage on the shield. Now you got skitters on the helmet. That tells you where not to shoot, more than anything else. But that center chest, on guard. For the supinated thrust, is prime time. The belly, same. For the supinated thrust. It's something you can throw at extreme range. It's something that this person's not necessarily going to expect. Okay. Targeting practice. Here's what I want you to try. Okay? Oh, you got those nice steel legs, huh? Come on. This will come right off these. Okay. So what I did is I created a spot 1.25 inches wide on his leg. You've got to be able to lay the sword, see it's hard, in the 1.25 inch space in order to be effective. Okay? What I want you to do is partner up in threes. Okay? For this first exercise. You don't need anything because it's just going to be legs. And what you're going to do is you're going to have 3 roles. You're going to have incredible human pal, person executing the exercise, and a coach. Okay? The coach is going to be standing over here, looking at this spot, going, high, low, on target, to let you know how you're doing. You're going to want to do this really slow. Okay? So, first exercise, grab some tape, mark out each other's legs, team up in threes, and if you don't get a 2, that'll be your third. Okay? Targeting. That very simple drill is more training than most knights have received in targeting. And as you notice, it's not easy. It also isn't a fight. I literally hit a spot 1.25 inches wide hundreds and hundreds of times in practice when I'm gearing up. Okay? But static target fighting, sword and shield right-handed is not everything you're going to face. Okay? So let's talk targeting on some different opponents. We'll start with the way different. Okay. Probably like you just came back from Australia.
Romance Diora.
Yeah. Look like you just came back from out the yard.
That's been a...
Yeah. All right. Okay. So here we've got two sword fighters. Now, you see a lot of the targets appear to be equally open, depending on what you're doing. But you already see me. Now he's static. I'm already having to move around these sticks. Now, it is always more convenient if your opponent simply stands stock still and lets you hit them. It's much more convenient that way. Unfortunately, they very rarely do. So what happens is you have to start working up with what kind of shot is going to give me the right line to hit your opponent. Where you want to hit them if you're one of those people where that inner control that I have the world's most awesome onside back edge thumb laser. And I throw it just awesome. So how am I going to do that to this guy? If you're one of those people that it's an inner competition. Okay? So here we are. We're looking at this opponent. Believe it or not, there's a big opening in this space here, coming into the body. Okay? Now, most of us don't think of that as an opening. You probably do. Hi, Ashley. Come here.
Come here.
We're going to accidentally
Bring her out the fin.
Because with this guy arranged like this, I can throw, an old castle style blow pretty effectively and hit that slot. Especially because I get that nice drop that I get throwing an old castle style blow in between the weapons. Okay? You're going to have to start thinking about what lines work for what opponents and what armor. You look at this guy's kit. Okay? What do you see? Heck of a glancing surface high on the head. Lots of junk over the ear. Okay? Not a lot of armor. That makes that soft and squishy. That makes that a great spot to look. Steel legs. Kiss the leg thrust, pretty much goodbye. Soft body armor with scales. Be cognizant of how his scales are arranged. These scales attach at the top, which means upward thrusts really stick well. Downward thrusts don't. So part of targeting is shot selection. Okay? For supreme leftiness. Oh no, it's a center grip fighter, they're going to dominate the world! And he's a mutant. Okay. No, seriously, not our opponent to be trifled with. Obviously competent, been in the gear for a while, fights a fair amount, ends up on his knees a fair amount too. Something to keep in mind. But this guy is, firmly implanted in the middle class of fighting. What you see is the right-hand opponent, and you think you see that head over there. Problem is, it's a very slow blow for you, and it's a very quick block for him. Right? Not to mention while you're doing this, he's probably tasting something over here. So you need fast blows at angles that he's not used to if you're going to attack to the off side, to his shield side. If you're attacking to his on side, most people come at the lefty and do the same thing that the lefty does. They do the big ass wrap or the really big ass wrap. Neither of which is going to be effective against this character. He's been there. He's done that. He lives the wrap. He lives the thumb leader because he's fighting a mirror. My sword's over here. His sword's over here. His big advantage. He fights me all the time. I fight him 1 in 10. Ever seen two lefties fight? It's really ugly. But targets still exist. Leg exists. And you throw it just like you throw the onside, the inside of the leg. Nice options available there. Thumb leads available. He's watching this side of me. But believe it or not, this guy's got vulnerabilities you start moving to this side, and you get some angles that he's not used to. And you're not used to them either. But this is where some of the really tricky stuff can pay big dividends. Again, your targeting has to be precise on him, because if you waste energy and time, what's going to happen? You're going to go over here, and you are going to eat sword via your lung. And it's going to be very unpleasant. Okay? Other targeting possibilities. Face. Recognize that this is going to be a pretty good angle. But this is a better angle, the overhand thrust. Problem is, he's twitchy. He wants to hit you in the ribs. So you need really tight shots to be effective to this guy, to this side, or moving to this side, get a little bit farther out. See how it forces him over? Pronated thrust. Very effective against this kind of opponent, but you've got to have good targeting to know where you're hitting him. Okay? So that's the line you come up. So here we have what we more typically see in terms of the two-short fight. Point down and forward towards you. You know what you do to this guy if you got good targeting? That's a threat. That is his longest single-range weapon. Let me tell you, he is now thinking something completely different. If you have the targeting to hit inch and a quarter on inch and a quarter, and just drive his point offline, or drive the point back into his hand, sooner or later he will determine that this is not perhaps the best stance for him. Because it hurts. Those are really small muscles that I'm wearing out. And sooner or later, go for it. Sooner or later, those swords are going to come up. But in terms of targeting, believe it or not, this guy's got a pretty strong defense in this stance. You throw onside into just about anything. I try to get down to the leg even. Odds are he's got a pretty good chance of blocking it. But what happens is, when I turn the blade over, I get very narrow lines of attack at the arm. Not so much at the leg, but the arm starts to open up. Just to blocking a straight shot, because that's what this guy's used to. Center body is very open in this more square style to thrust. But again, you have to be pretty precise, because he's got a defense worked out for this. Your opponent knows you're coming. But if you know that I can hit him in that eye, and your targeting is good enough, you can hit him there every time. So for the next drill. Thanks, Mike. Now, I got this idea from Dukes Aureliani, and it is, in fact, quite possibly one of the most brilliant and sadistic things I could think to do here. Unfortunately, I was a little delayed, so I didn't have time to get all my props. So we will revisit this. Here's the bell. Here's the opening. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some 1-inch, some 1/4-inch dowels. We're going to paint them bright red. And we're going to start attaching them to your body, so that you have to not only hit this spot, but you have to hit the spot in this slot, because that's how your lines are going to open up if you're fighting somebody. What spot is this? That is down on my shoulder. Not a key target area, but if you get it, you get it. So what I want everybody to do is just come over to this very slowly, because we're not secured up there. We're not going to stay there. Just very slowly. Of dropping the blade between the two sticks, touching the pole, and pulling it out. If you deviate, they will come off. Okay? So, everybody walk through that, because I forgot the dowel rod. Targeting. These drills. You got to do these drills. You got to come up with a way to practice not only hitting a spot, but getting the sword to come in at an angle. A couple of quick considerations. Think about how you're throwing the shot. For instance, since you're still armored up. Do you throw the shot through your opponent? Or do you throw your blow to your opponent, maybe an inch and a half, 2 inches in? Or do you try to focus all the force on the surface? That's going to determine, to some extent, how you target. I am one of those people. I want to throw the blow into you. Okay? I want it to go some distance into you. That's the way I throw. So when we get to recoveries, we'll cover recoveries a little bit differently for people who throw blows like me.
Yep, I'm here.
One of the key things that comes out of Bronis' tapes is he throws the blow to the surface, but in such a way as to focus all the force at that point. So, whereas I would hit Lancelin in the head this way, Bronis is going to hit Lancelin in the head this way. If this makes any sense.
I'll fall down anyway.
I figured. But no appreciable change in force. And what he's doing is, anybody ever see fly fishing? Those big casts? Anybody ever play with a whip? Or crack a towel? Okay. What he's doing is he's basically taking his body, punching, like Katerina said, keeping the body straight, punching the sword out, and then at the last minute, where I break my wrist to the side, he breaks his wrist down in a snapping motion. And as he does that, he sits down a little bit to get the force. So it's almost a full body kick. Okay? So from a motion perspective, he's throwing the blow out, okay? Snapping the sword down. And you should literally be able to stand here and go, and then you go from just snapping the sword to snap the sword, throw the hip, drop the butt. And you can hit with a ton of force doing that. Because what you're doing is you're basically rippling your body up and out the sword. This is where his power is coming from. It's something that if you're a belly dancer or a boxer, it's going to be really a good motion for you. He explains it a lot better in his tape. How this affects targeting. For me, hit Lancelin at this spot in the head, I need to have an entire arc clear to get there. For Bronis, one of the things that you'll hear him talk briefly about, not long enough for how he's fighting, it's not the line of attack like I'm used to. It's much more the shortest distance theory. They're real big into shortest distance. For me, this is how I'm going to attack. Big motion. For him, shortest distance. So the difference, my blow is going to come here. Big arm extension. His blow is going to be a whip crack. My arm extended the same amount, but I pulled my body back and tried to keep the back straight. I could have just as easily done it here.
And then
Arm never extended.
And then you see the flashing thing, searching.
I wish I had more time to go into that. But so think of that in terms of targeting. I'll leave the pen. I'll leave the flash.
Okay. As you were looking at
But do some more target practice and move the tape around each other's body. I'll try to get here on time next time, and we can do all three
this is a little box.
classes.
Probably single
Okay. Cool.
with the letters A and B on it.
Thanks, guys. Sorry I got to run off.
Have a dot on it.